Actually starting the recording. Perfect. So hello everyone, my name is John Romano. I'm from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I'm stepping in tonight to be able to fill in to host this meeting here tonight for our cannabis applicant. So my normal neighborhoods are the North End, West End, waterfront area, but you can see here, we're in this neighborhood tonight to be able to facilitate the statutory required cannabis community outreach. This is an application by Jody, Mendoza, and Richard here tonight for a retail cannabis dispensary to be operated at 1441 Tremont Street. So before we get started, I'd like to go over my expectations for tonight's meeting. Having participated in multiple meetings of this kind, I know this can be a sensitive topic. I want to make it clear that no decisions are being made tonight, and at no time will it be acceptable to be disrespectful to anyone during the meeting. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. There is no right or wrong opinion. We are here tonight to try to collect as many comments and questions for this proposal. I am not here to facilitate debates amongst neighbors or relitigate state legislation. I ask that all questions be directed towards the applicant and myself only. The applicant will answer all questions related to their proposal to the best of their ability, and I will answer questions specific to the city's process. If I'm unable or the applicants are unable to answer a question tonight, we will follow up with you after the meeting to get that information to you. This is an open comment period, meaning that if you do not get called on tonight, or if you think of questions that have not been answered, all you need to do is reach out to us and we will work with you to get the information that you have asked for. My contact information has been included in the flyer. It's actually been my colleague's contact information, Patrick Fandel, and you will receive to attending to this meeting. There will be no questions during the presentation. Once the presentation has concluded, I will again reiterate my expectations. So what we're going to do from here and from this point forward, again, this meeting is being recorded in accordance with our public record laws. And I'm going to turn it over to our applicants here tonight to be able to go through their presentation. All right, y'all, it's your turn.
All right, thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. My name is Richie Peña. I am joined here by my beautiful wife, Jody Mendoza. We are here today to talk about our proposal for a recreational dispensary in Mission Hill. Next slide, John.
No problem. Thank you. I do want to take one quick second here and recognize that Lauren from Counselor Box Office is here as well tonight.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So when marijuana was legalized in 2016, it was passed on a social justice platform. That means that voters wanted to legalize marijuana in part to compensate for the disproportionate harm that the war on drugs had in communities of color. The Cannabis Control Commission started the economic empowerment program to ensure that people who met certain criteria were able to participate in the industry. Later in Boston, the Boston Cannabis Board created the equity program to do the same. In 2018, we were among the very first people to receive the economic empowerment certification, and in 2019, we received a host community agreement for a location on Blue Hill Avenue. In 2020, we also received a provisional license from the CCC, but unfortunately, we had to relocate, and we're starting the process from scratch again here in Mission Hill. Next slide, John. John, next slide. Oh, sorry, thanks. We would like to begin by telling you who will be operating this dispensary. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Richie Peña, and I have deep roots in Mission Hill in the city of Boston. I went to the Tobin Elementary for 4th and 5th grades, and I went to Madison Park and graduated in 2004. After I graduated, I moved out to New York to pursue a career in the music industry. I met some people out there, and I had a huge hit, Call My Nerves with Don Omar. And I returned to Boston in 2007 to build a more professional local music scene. I provided a lot of opportunities for young people by connecting them directly to record executives from different labels through the Boston Music Conference and other activities. In 2010, I won a Latin Grammy, and I served on the Boston Grammy Committee. My wife, Jody, is also a longtime Boston resident and entrepreneur. While she was a full-time MBA student, she also opened Mojitos Lounge in downtown Boston on Winter Street in 2005. She currently owns Mojitos Country Club, the only on-premise owned 100% by a woman in the region. Next slide, John. After our lease, nope, I think you're a little bit further up. One more back. Yep, there you go. After our lease on Winter Street expired in 2016, we were forced to relocate our business. We found a new space in Randolph, about 20 minutes outside the city. Traffic permitting, it can get a little bit crazy. Mojitos is more than a resort or a pool or a club. It's like a fixture in our community. Since our days in downtown in 2005, we have built a community of people who share the same love of music, dancing, family, and fun, and enjoy the unique space that Mojitos is. We often have 3 generations celebrating together. We're part of so many stories where people meet at Mojitos, they have their wedding there, and they celebrate their gender reveal, their baby shower, and their birthdays. So there's a lot of history for a lot of folks in Boston with Mojitos. And what we're proposing is a recreational cannabis dispensary at 1441 Tremont Street. It is approximately about 1,000 square feet. It was a former Old Chuck's Cash, and that's very good because the walls and the ceiling are all made out of metal, which is great for extra security. The storefront will not have visibility to the interior, so it's going to be completely, closed off to people. You won't be able to see what's happening inside. And there will be 24/7 security footage available to police and the city if need be the case.
What makes us different than other groups around the city or the state that want to open dispensaries is that we represent and we're part of a diverse community. We don't need to promise or make plans for diversity and inclusion. We are. As you can see, our goal of 85% of our team from the demographics that have been identified by the Boston Cannabis Board as the focus for diversity and inclusion is ambitious, but it represents what has always been the case for us. So we're confident that we can continue as we've always done, and we will be able to provide opportunities and be a source of stable careers for the community that we cater to. Next slide, please. So how are we going to do this? Simply, we're going to hire from the community that we're part of. We have robust networks that allow us to communicate opportunities directly to our people. We're confident that moving forward, we'll continue to do what we've done for the past 16 years. We have had a 95% rate of hiring people that fall into the target demographic identified by the Boston Cannabis Board. Currently, 98.75% of our staff do fall into that category. So moving forward, we're going to provide the Boston Cannabis Board with quarterly audits of the demographic makeup of our team, and we'll be happy to share that with the community as well.
Next slide.
Thank you. So what is our employment plan? We anticipate between 15 to 22 jobs that we will create in the neighborhood, depending on the availability of staff. All members of our team will make at the minimum $15.69 an hour, and that is the living wage as defined by the City of Boston's Job and Living Wage Ordinance. 85% or more of our team will be Boston residents. We will, as we've always done, include women, minorities, and other disadvantaged members of our community in meaningful managerial roles. Next slide, please. But why would you want to work for us? And one of the reasons is that we understand the challenges that our employees face because we face those same challenges. The number one reason why our employees call out sick is childcare. One of the better things that we've seen post-COVID is that now people are realizing what an unfair burden that is put on mothers and families when they're trying to figure out childcare. It's prohibitively expensive. And it forces young families, young mothers specifically, to be unable to join the workforce, not because they don't want to, but simply because they can't afford childcare. We propose to subsidize childcare, and we hope to be very active in the conversation in Boston on this topic. And many of the big cannabis companies are offering 401ks and other benefits. But what people need is help now. They need to plan, they need help now so that they can plan for the future and not just trust in markets where, let's face it, so many people have lost their life savings, particularly in the last recession.
Mhm.
Now, we're going to provide that help through microloans. So if you had an unexpected expense or you're short on rent or you need help to repair your vehicle, then you can apply for a microloan. And the best part about these microloans is they're going to be forgivable through community service. So it's going to be a win-win for Mission Hill, for the employees, and for us, because we're going to have happy employees who are able to focus on the job at hand, not financial concerns.
Next slide.
All right, next slide, please. So let's talk about Mission Hill. We promise that the local business owners, community leaders, and residents will have direct access to us. You can see my email is up there. I've had that email since Gmail was made, somewhere about 18 years ago. It's my direct line. In addition, we're also going to be holding a walkthrough and a showing for members of the community to have a view for themselves before we open it to the public. Of course, they have to be 21 plus. We also propose to have a quarterly virtual meeting so that members of the community, including community organizations, will be able to take part and give us their feedback. So this isn't just let's get open and running and then see you later. We want to be very active, and we want to hear you as time goes on. Next slide, please. Now, we want to reassure the Mission Hill community and the Boston Cannabis Board that we understand security issues, and we promise to do our part. We'll do so by training our security team and preparing them for how to enforce the regulations that are mandated by the Cannabis Control Commission. We'll also include any recommendations made by the Boston Police or the Boston Cannabis Board. Some of the items are listed on the slide. Just for the sake of going along faster, I won't read them all off, but I think everyone can see them there. Next slide, please. Now, we're aware of the intense scrutiny that we face as part of this industry, and we wanted to highlight a few key things. All products are required by law to be traced seed to sale. So what that means is that if someone mishandles something that has been purchased at our dispensary, the Boston Police, the CCC, the BCB, everyone's going to know that it came from our store, and we will be penalized accordingly. Also, there will be 24/7 surveillance that's accessible by police in real time. So this is the most transparent industry that's out there. I don't know of any other that literally you would be able, anybody can, from the city officials, anybody can dial right in. Well, prior to opening, we're going to be providing security plans, floor plans, and we have to gain approval. This is one small step in what is a very, very long, highly regulated process. Next slide, please. Excuse me, my voice. We're the parents of 3 young boys, 11, 9, and 7. We believe that there is a moral as well as a legal responsibility that dispensary operators have to ensure that our products never get into the hands of anyone under 21. All of our operations will be scrutinized, and our license would be suspended immediately if we were to fail in this responsibility. We use patron scan currently, and we will at the dispensary as well, to prevent anyone under 21 from entering the dispensary. Patron scan uses facial recognition software. It also generates a log of anyone who has visited. And you don't have to worry because that data is not visible to us. However, the police can contact Patron Scan, and they are able to obtain that information should it be necessary for law enforcement purposes. And finally, security will be vigilant in and outside of the building to prevent any illegal behavior. Next slide, please. Let's change our focus to another area of potential concern: transportation and parking. We're located a minute from the Roxbury Crossing T-stop and the bike trail. We're going to be providing transit passes to our staff. We're going to have a bike rack. As we stated earlier, preference will be given to local applicants. We're going to be creating incentives for the patrons to encourage them to go green. We're Team Green. We're serious about this. Local businesses will be asked to participate, and we're going to offer a fast pass so that people can pre-order and pick up. No entry is going to be permitted to anyone who double parks. But I think it's also important to note that there's a lot of hype around the first opening, and there was a lot of fear that all the dispensaries that open are going to face this fiasco of traffic and lines, etc. But you got to remember that first dispensary that opened, it was the only one in the entire East Coast open at that time, so it was a novelty, and it happened on Black Friday. None of this has happened since then, and I haven't seen a line at any dispensary that I've been past. And another thing is we're small. We're not taking out billboards like you've seen, all around. We aren't a huge multi-level space. We're a neighborhood dispensary. We have an audience in Boston that already supports us. And what we're doing is we're providing them with a legal venue to purchase their product in. Next slide, please. The transportation of money and cannabis is another area that so far hasn't experienced the sort of security issues that everyone was afraid of. We're not going to transport product ourselves. We're going to use the services of highly regulated wholesale distributors. We do understand the legal requirements if we were to do so, but why would we? There's no logical reason to assume the debt and responsibility when distributors already provide that service. Now, in terms of transporting cash, any monies that we have will be transported safely and per legal requirements. And of course, it's in our best interest to make sure that cash makes it to the bank as well. Cameras will be directed at the vault and the safe 24/7. In the event of an incident, we'll immediately notify the Boston Cannabis Board, the Cannabis Control Commission, and the Boston Police Department. Next slide, please. And we welcome any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. So again, I'm going to take this time to be able to go over and reiterate some of my expectations for tonight. So this again is not a debate on the legalization or morality of marijuana. That debate occurred at the ballot box, and we are here today because it was overwhelmingly supported in the city. The applicant will go through the presentation like they just did in the timely manner, and we're going to spend the rest of the time now waiting in orderly line to be able to answer questions, comments, or concerns. So again, thank you all, and we're going to get started here now with questions, comments, and concerns. The way that I'm going to go down here and do this is based on the attendees that are here tonight. I'm going to go down and unmute you. If you have I will call out your name. If you have a question, comment, or concern, please state that. If you do not have to. You could just say that you have no comment. So Adam Sarbar. Adam, I've unmuted you. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Oh man, I get to go first. Can I defer to the end on this? But I do have one right up that you kind of kept me off guard. But I have a process question for John Romano, and then I have I do have some specific detail questions. But specifically in this process, I know that somewhere along the lines the counselor has to provide a letter within X amount of time to the cannabis board. I think that, or something like that. Can you speak to how that process works and what the counselor has to provide?
Sure. So I'm actually fortunate enough. Lauren from the counselor's office, I believe, is here with us still right now. I'm just looking for her to be able to unmute. One second. My apologies here. As you can hear. I don't know if you all can hear it, that I'm not able to click on what I need to click on here. My apologies. So essentially, as it comes down to the way that the time frame works with that is that in between this meeting, and when they would actually be presented in front of the Cannabis Control Commission or the Boston Cannabis Board, they would have to be able to provide that letter. The council would have to be able to provide their letter to the Cannabis Board. So yeah, I would suggest reaching out to Councilor Bach's office a little bit more on what their letter might say or what they might actually be including in that, just as I don't want to speak on behalf of the councilor.
No, all of that's fine. I was just more of a process question, and if it was any different from an equity and non-equity applicant. So we can do that. But I'd like to. You caught me off guard. I'm not ready for my questions yet. I tried to take some quick notes, but if I can come back at the end, that would be awesome.
No problem. We could definitely do that. Give me 1 second here. I just am having a little bit of trouble getting through the participants list for some reason. I'm also going to turn off screen sharing right now. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to continue going down the line. So Andrea Duque, I've just unmuted you. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
No, no comments.
Thank you. Brandy Brooks, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Yes, if I'd like for them to reiterate, they were talking about the hiring percentages reflecting the community, and I know they did it earlier and I came in a little late. Could they please reiterate that information just in terms of what the staff percentages will be, or they hope to be?
Sure. Did you all want to answer that, Jody?
Sure. Sure. So what we had, what we promise is 85% of our staff will be not only Boston residents, but they will also be members of the demographic identified by the Boston Cannabis Board that they wanted targeted for diversity and inclusion. So
John, can you go back 2 more slides? Or, yeah, there you go.
yeah, so you can see 85%. So what we're looking for is 85% will be Boston residents. In addition, 85% will be minorities or women, veterans, persons with disabilities, immigrant populations, people of all gender identities and sexual orientation. 85% is the number. And currently, with our other business, we operate at 98.75%. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to reach our target.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to continue down the line here. So Brandy Brooks, Brandy, I've just unmuted you. Do you have a question, comment, or concern?
I just asked, but
Oh.
thank you.
Sorry, my apologies here. I just lost my place then. Bridget, did you have a question, comment, or concern? Bridget?
I don't. Me?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Okay. Diane Brown, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what I put in the chat. And in the chat, it says privately, so I don't know what other people are chatting or if anybody saw what I chatted. But what I said was, I do not want a drug dealing business in Mission Hill. Mission Hill has suffered historically from drug use. There are around 5 high schools in the area, and this is the wrong place for a cannabis dispensary.
Thank you for your comments, Diane. Drew, I've just unmuted you. Did you have a question, comment, or concern? Drew Ledbetter? All right. We're going to continue down the list.
Can I say something to Diane?
Sure.
Because I did go and attend to Madison Park, which is one of the schools that's right around there. So I'm really I'm well aware of what's happening around there and what happened around there because I was there and I was part of it. Growing up, I saw some of my friends and what they went through and what happened if they were caught with cannabis or if they consumed cannabis. And I think that putting a business that sells a drug or flower, whatever you want to call it, that is a legal substance that's been approved in the state in a location where that has been affected by the war on drugs and, illegal narcotics is a positive thing. And the reason I say that is because unlike what some people now can purchase on the streets, they don't know what's in that marijuana or that cannabis. They could be laced for something else. So this is a very safe alternative for people to consume cannabis. Also, I think that it's more important to start educating everyone about how to consume cannabis instead of saying that, we just got to turn our backs to it and pretend like it doesn't exist. Because the truth is that it's here, it's been here, and there are a lot of positive things that come from having a dispensary in cannabis. So I would love to sit down with you if you want at some point, and I can maybe talk to you some more about it. But thank you for your comment. I just wanted to let you know where I stand.
Drew Ledbetter, I actually am going to unmute you again. You have your hand raised. Can you hear us?
Yes. No, I did have a comment. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to say that I am in support of this dispensary opening in Mission Hill. Our family spends a lot of time in Mission Hill. My sons get their hair cut next door in the cut. We want to make sure, I think cannabis is here to stay. It's very highly scrutinized. It's more scrutinized than even liquor stores. And we have responsible business owners that are invested in the community and want to add revenue and value to the community. And we should support it because otherwise the big business is going to come in and take over the location or be in your community anyway. We can't avoid the dispensaries opening. Residents, we should be responsible and choose owners that look like us, that have an investment in the city and don't want to just flood the market with their branding. So we want to make sure that our communities are led and their business owners are from the community and also speak to the community and care about what the community feels because the dispensaries are coming whether we like them or not. The other thing is that I have been to mojitos and it is true that there's 3 generations celebrating at a time. We celebrate, the children's birthdays. And even in that environment where there's a lot of children, a lot of teenagers, diversion is never an issue. So I think that this is a good team to put in front of a community as tight knit as Mission Hill to make sure that they take care of the community rather than have big business come in and open a dispensary here. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dwan Packnet? Dwan, did you have a
Hello.
question? Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say I am in support of this project and these entrepreneurs. I am really excited about the opportunities that they're bringing to the community. I too have been to mojitos. I could probably say ditto to a lot of things the last woman just said, but and it is a terrific place. And I understand cannabis. I work in the cannabis industry and I know what it takes. And I am so impressed by this team that they are economic empowerment applicants and that it is very rare for this opportunity to really get into the community with people who are from the community. And I am excited about the opportunity for them. And I am really excited about their diversity and inclusion program, their hiring, and the microloans. I don't think anyone has really gotten to the real reasons that people don't come to work and really support workers. So I'm excited about this, and I encourage the community to support this project and this team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Felix? Can
Hi,
you hear
how are
us?
you?
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
John, thanks for calling on me. My name's Felix Arroyo. In a past life, I was once a at-large city councilor here in Boston, and I want to speak specifically when I do support this project, and I just want to speak specifically about Jody and Richie as people and as business owners. I think Mission Hill would be lucky to have Jody and Richie open a business in their community. I know Mission Hill very well. They are real people. You could talk to them. You could reach them. They're not a national conglomerate. Jody is a a female entrepreneur who had to make herself where she is now by doing all the things we tell them to do, going to BC, graduating, opening her business after working in the business for a while. Richie is a kid from the neighborhood who attended Madison Park High, and I'm excited about their application. And I could say unequivocally that as business owners who owned a business in Boston, now they have one out in Randolph. We considered them one of the better business owners in the city when I was on the city council. They were supportive of the community. They would reach back to the community. Their business, I can't remember one safety concern that we had, and in the nightclub industry, that's difficult to accomplish. And out in Randolph, they managed to turn Mojitos into a very family-friendly location that I have been to a number of times. And so, as someone who just knows them personally, but also as someone who does know Mission Hill. While I do not live in Mission Hill, I'll say that I live in Jamaica Plain, but I know Mission Hill very well. I'd say that I'm excited about their application, and sort of at a macro level, I will say that it is true that cannabis is now legal. Cannabis dispensaries will be in every neighborhood in Boston. The question I hope that neighbors and residents ask themselves is, who do they want running those businesses, and what type of business owners do they want, and what type of business do they want? And I think when you look at that question, having two homegrown people of color with a great reputation like Richie and Jody make this a very easy project to support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Felix.
We're going to continue.
John, I just have a quick question. This is Adam Sarbaugh. As we go down and the structure that you're doing this, just going down the list, you know, as a community forum and a butters meeting for a community meeting, can we get everyone that you're going through, if they're speaking, do they have to say their name and address or whatever to help identify on this community meeting, or is this a public meeting?
So it's a public meeting, and people are able to put in, when they signed in, they were able to put in all that information. So we already collected it already.
And does anybody along the way, or no? I'm just again, a process question that I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, no problem. I go down the list as it appears here, Adam, and so this is all information that's collected. So it's just something that we're able to already have before us. So it's just to help speed it up. The ones that I will ask to do that is if anyone calls in, because that information is not collected there. All right, so we're going to continue as we go down here. So Gio, I've unmuted you. Did you have a question, comment, or concern? Gio? All right. Grisette? Griselle? Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
I know I have a question, but congratulations to Jody and Richie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
JC Morales?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Just a comment, strong conviction buy for me, great strategic presentation. Job well done, Jody and Richie, very thoughtful. I cannot think of a better management team to run the family-owned, neighborhood dispensary and do it the right way. Well done, highly supportive on my end as a Boston resident of 30 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
I do not have any questions. No, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity that presents itself in the city of Boston. So I'm just here just to kind of support and learn more about the plans, basically. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
John Hawk, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Comment, question, or concern? John Hawk? Here you go.
If there's, all right. JW, did you have a question, comment, or concern? Okay. Kara, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Oh, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Oh, I was just wondering what your pay rate was going to be.
So the starting pay rate is going to be $15.69 an hour. That's the base pay rate. And that's going to go up as high as we are able to. And that depends on the position, but that's the base pay.
And so you two are the sole owners?
That's correct. Yes, we have no other investors. We have no shadow company behind us. It's just us.
Jody literally wrote the entire application by herself.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, are you outside of the buffer zone of the Head Start? Around the corner?
Yes, we are. As far as we, when we did the buffer zone with the 500 feet, we didn't fall into any school that would qualify or disqualify us from opening a dispensary at this location.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Malik Williams. Oh, I forgot to unmute you. I'm sorry that Malik, you are here to go. Sorry about that. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
No concerns. I just want to say I'm pretty excited about the application as well. I've known Jody and Richie for quite a long time, but I'm a lifelong Boston resident. I'm very familiar with their business practices and just them as people of integrity and their business as well, and just their business ethic across the board. And I think it was Felix Arroyo that commented, and I kind of just agree with that. It was very spot on, 100%. So I wish them luck.
Thank you.
Gio, I'm meeting you again. Gio, can you hear us?
Hi, yes.
Yes. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
No concerns. Just I just wanted to say that this project's in the right hands, and I don't think I believe there's anybody else that could do a better job than these two individuals. Very respectable, and people look up to them in the community, especially people coming up from Boston. I think they're gonna do a great job. That's all.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Too far. Martin Beborn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Yes, I have. Actually, I also share the concern that the establishment will be very close to Child Care Center, ABCD, and the Tobin Community Center. And regarding to that, I had several questions. Like one was, we didn't get a flyer with the announcements. Other neighbors didn't get either one, but I got hold of one from a friend. And there was a circle drawn around the shop, which was only 300 feet. So I wonder whether this was an error or whether this meant anything. I've read that there's a 500 feet line for the Massachusetts buffer zone, which I have to correct what was said before. This includes ABCD, and this includes the Tobin Community Center. So that's the contradiction which I see there. And I also know that in the city of Boston, they have a 0.5 mile buffer zone from the next marijuana dispensary. There's one to be opened within that radius on Terrace Street. So if you could comment on that contradiction.
Certainly. As far as 100% of the abutters, the list was provided to us, and 100% of the abutters were notified in writing. And we have, yes, and that was all done certified mail, and that is part of the statutory requirements. And those are provided to not only the Boston Cannabis Board for verification, but also the Cannabis Control Commission. So if there were to be any errors in that, that is something that in this highly regulated industry, I assure you would not get past both of those regulatory boards. As far as the circle, I can't say that flyer, I think, is a standard flyer that
That's actually something I'll comment on really quickly. So our notification system is only within a 300-foot abutters radius for that. So that is why the circle is not beyond that 300-foot radius.
So
That is
do I
the standard
understand?
practice.
Do I understand correctly that only abutters within the 300 feet radius were notified? Is that correct?
That is correct. So the 300-foot proposed address of the establishment must notification of those abutters must have, like they had mentioned, both through certified mailer is one of the ways that they had gotten it out. So 300 feet is the radius that we would have, which is what's reflective on the flyer.
And another point, Mr. Beerborn, I do recall your comments at the last community meeting, and at that time we did share links and notification for this meeting. So we're certainly not trying to hide it from anyone, as we shared in the community meeting as well. And as far as any other dispensaries, I'm only really concerned about us. And any decisions on that level are not made by us. They're made by the Boston Cannabis Board. And they'll do so according to the laws of the city and state.
But I must say, if this is supposed to be a community meeting, so it's true it was announced at the Community Alliance, but that's not a sufficient podium to broadly announce it. So, for example, it should have been announced in the Mission Hill Gazette or something that is more broadly read. So I really think that was insufficient advertisement in the Mission Hill community. And I'm also concerned, to be honest, I don't know your list, but how many Mission Hill residents are actually speaking here today? So I recognize only a few names, and I wonder whether most of them are outside from Mission Hill.
Well, Martin, so what we'll do from here is if you have questions on our process part from there, Patrick Pandel, which you seem to have gotten the flyer with as well, is going to be one of your best points of contact. And so they can actually go through the process pieces and how the standard notification works from our office that we provide to applicants here. So we'll continue down here with questions, and Patrick will be able to help answer any questions that you have and be able to continue that conversation offline with you. Marianne, did you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Are you referring to me, Marianne Nelson?
Yes, I
Or
am.
some other Marianne?
No, Marianne Nelson, my apologies.
How many people are at this meeting?
We have 27 people online tonight.
Okay, I live about 1 block from this location. I live 1 block from this location. And I'm very concerned about having 2 cannabis shops so close to each other. I hear what people are saying about the good business practices and atmosphere of the proponents. I think that this is the wrong location for a second cannabis shop on Mission Hill. I think it's too close. I think there's too many youth-oriented activities, including, even though it doesn't count, the ABCD Head Start program, the daycare center run at the Roxbury Crossing subway station, and some people have mentioned the Tobin Community Center. There's a lot of youth activity in the area. I think we already have a bad example with 2 package stores within this area, and suddenly popping up 2 cannabis shops doesn't really create a good atmosphere for the community. Now, I'm interested in knowing what the project proponents are planning to do for the neighborhood besides making their employees pay back their microloans to the neighborhood, to some neighborhood entity, or do community service, and hiring a few people. Considering the potential volume of business at this location due to all the students walking by, the people driving by, and the workers in the area, I think that what they're proposing is minuscule. I think the other cannabis shop has set a good example, suggesting sharing profits with the neighborhood, and I'd like to hear what their proposal is.
I would like to point out, thank you, first of all, for your comments, but I would like to point out that 3% of gross sales are paid on a local level. That's a community impact fee. So that's something that we will be doing. And as we said at the community meeting, we're looking forward to other ways to involve the community and to do positive things. We are a small business. I apologize if our proposal isn't as highly polished and if we don't have as grand of a proposal, but we're sincere and we are here. 3% of our gross sales goes back to the community, and we look forward to working with the community to come up with, to work with you on any other ideas.
All right, we can continue down the line here. Mitch Hilton. Mitch, I've just unmuted you. Did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Yes, thank you, John. Mitch Hilton, I'm a 50-year resident of Mission Hill. I'm here tonight to hear the thoughts of my neighbors. I'm going to pass on commenting. The applicants will be presenting to a committee of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Service on Monday evening, and I'll listen to the proposal at that time and consider what I'm hearing tonight from my Mission Hill neighbors, and perhaps I'll speak at that time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion, I apologize. It looked like you said you had another question. My apologies on that.
Yes, I have more questions. I don't know who you are, John Romano. Who do you, I was late to the meeting. Who do you work for?
No apology. My apologies on that, Marianne. So my name is John Mom from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I
Oh, are
apologize. I
you
didn't
our
know.
new community liaison?
No, I'm not. I'm actually the liaison for the North End, West End waterfront area, but I'm stepping in tonight to be able to help my colleague.
Is there a new replacement for the person who left?
There is not.
Okay, so thank you. You should learn that people at Mission Hill have a lot of questions, especially me, and I'd like to get them all answered. So you're saying there's a 3% impact fee. Who does the fee go to? Is it the city of Boston or is it to the residents?
I don't control that. I don't know that. I'm sorry.
You don't know the answer to that question? You just know you have to pay an amorphous 3% fee to something or some entity, but you're not quite sure whom?
No, I have not followed the path of the taxation. No, it's 3% fee. I'm sorry, I don't know.
So you don't know who you have to pay?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, I'm not your proposal is perfectly fine. I'm not tagging it as not being unpolished or anything. It's probably better than what some of the proposals I've made, and I've worked on them for like months. So it's perfectly fine. But I think I am a little concerned about location. Now I'm totally confused since I got distracted from my list of questions. I will say that I don't like this sort of totalitarian management of the meeting that we're kind of currently experiencing. I'd like to know who's at the meeting so that, you know, if it was in person, we could see each other and have like somebody would have sidebar conversations in the back of the room. But we still don't know who the landlord of this building is. We do know that we know it's a LLC of some type. We're a little concerned about that.
I would be happy to speak. I just don't feel it's that it's my right to disclose his information. I mean, I would be happy. I've never met him. So I don't know that that's my information to give. Prior to Monday's meeting, actually I think it's Tuesday, but prior to the next neighborhood meeting, I will reach out to the landlord and ask his permission to divulge that information. But that's I mean, he created a business and didn't include his name in there. I assume he has his own reasons. I apologize. I don't feel that it's my right to say that. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping track of the sale of the building. I don't know the entity that I thought owns it still owns it or not, or he could have flipped it. So normally we know who owns what, but in this instance, we don't. What are you planning to do for people parking in front of your building or for deliveries?
So deliveries won't be from the front of our building. The specifics of the deliveries are something that I don't think would be advisable to discuss in this sort of forum. In terms of parking, our goal is to discourage any sort of adding any sort of traffic in there. So what we're going to be providing is incentives to the patrons to either call ahead, so all they do is pick it up. Either way, if somebody does double park, as they do at Dunkin' Donuts next door, the difference is that we will have security there. Unlike Dunkin' Donuts, we will have security there that prevents people from entering if you double park. So traffic in Boston is always problematic. Again, we are a family business. We do not have the resources to buy a parking lot or any other sort of thing like that. This is a neighborhood, a small neighborhood shop.
So you're not planning to get a commercial parking spot in front of your building for your customers?
No, we are not, because we are not encouraging vehicular traffic.
Okay, and now we have a big problem with, we used to have a big problem with with one of the package stores encouraging, not controlling the, attracting customers who wanted to consume the product in our neighborhood, including my front steps. And we've worked with them to prevent that from happening. So what do you do to prevent that from happening now? Because I know they're going to walk from your store. They're already, sometimes I wake up and I'm here and I'm like, what is that odor? And I look out, there's somebody on my front step smoking different types of products. So what are you going to do to prevent that from happening around the neighborhood?
So the system that we use, Patron Scan, when you walk in, you get your ID scan. Once your ID scanned, we have your name, your address. Well, we don't have it, but the police can access it. But we have your name, your date of birth, and we also have a list of everything you purchased that day. Every single container that you purchase has a QR, has a code that is assigned to your name. So we know what we sold you and how much we sold you. The reason for that is to keep track of anyone who wants to come in and overbuy. You can't pass, I think it's 28 grams or something like that, like an ounce. You can't do more than that. But the thing is, like, if somebody was to leave the establishment and turn on a joint or consume any of the products, whether it be an edible, we could easily ban them in our system so that they would not be allowed to return and continue to be one of our customers.
Okay, so they buy a marijuana cigarette from you.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the corner store and buy a blunt. They take your product and put it in the blunt. And now they're sitting on my step smoking. There's no causal, you can't prove the person got the product from your store if they discharged the plastic container in the Dunkin' Donuts trash can and they're sitting on my steps. What's your plan to work with the neighborhood to prevent that from happening?
I think that at that point you can call the officers and have them deal with that situation, because as you just stated, there's no way to prove that it came from our dispensary. So we have no way of like reaching that person. Now, if you know who the person is, so you know their name, and we know for a fact that they purchased this at our location, then we can ban them, no problem.
Well, it's simple. If you call the police and you believe this person has purchased the marijuana product at our store, the police officer can walk over, he can see from the scanned list of patrons, okay, yes, Joe Johnson purchased this from our dispensary. You can see his face is right here. His face is in front of me smoking the joint on your doorstep. The causal connection is there. And then the responsibility falls on us. So this is not, there are many safeguards in place, far more than any liquor store. There's absolutely, the only evidence you have is, the only way to connect somebody is you have let's say a nip or whatever it is they purchased. Here, we have a system that's tracking every single person that enters.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what you're saying, but what I'm waiting to hear you say is we're going to actively discourage consumption of this product on the streets.
I'm sorry, I did say that repeatedly in the presentation, and I will say that again. It is not only will we discourage, we will prevent. Our security monitors inside and outside. We have no interest, no desire, and absolutely no motivation to create problems for our neighbors. The only thing that we are trying to do is operate a safe and responsible business. So we will take your words, your concerns, not only today, but tomorrow and a year from now, and whenever you have them. And we will do everything in our power, which is significant, the steps that we can take, and we will prevent anything from bothering you.
Well, I really hope you're as successful as the package store owner has been in preventing that kind of activity. It's decreased tremendously since we prevented him from getting his license renewed for 6 to 8 months. So how often does your license have to be renewed?
I believe it's annually, but I haven't been through the process yet. So, but yes, it is annually.
And there'll be a public process at the renewal. So if we don't like your performance, we can comment on it and prevent it from being renewed.
Well, Marianne, remember, you're going to have access to us.
Correct.
365 days, a year. And one of the things, I don't know if I'm not sure if you saw the presentation, but one of the things that we're proposing is that for the first year, we meet quarterly with, whether it be with the Mission Hill Community Alliance or at other group organizations in the community that want to, engage with us in a conversation and kind of, just so we all are on the same page and making sure that we're working as a team and as a community should, in order to ensure that, we're all, in a safe environment and that we're not causing any additional burden to the patrons or the people in our community.
Okay, thank you. If I have more questions, I'll put my hand up at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Muneka, did you have a question, comment, or concern? All right, we're going to keep going. Oscar Brookins, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Just one moment. I'm coming. I've been sitting here a long time. I have to go to the restroom.
No problem.
Okay. I think that going back to the comment made by Diane, in the sense that there is a confluence of school-age children in the neighborhood. We have Mission High, we have Tobin, we have the Mission Grammar, all are close by. And I don't believe that it is true, as Mr. Beinborn pointed out. He pointed out that there's a 400-foot buffer, and you indicated that people were notified within 300 feet. And I know that 300 feet is typically what is involved in zoning issues, but there are different regulations for this kind of business. And I'm certain that child care center, which is located across the street from Marianne Nelson, is not more than 400 feet away. And it's not even clear to me that the child care center located at the T station is more than 400 feet away. And then the other issue which came up, which was regard to the other dispensary. I understand that as a business person, that it's not your business to necessarily worry about what your competitor might be doing. But as a regulatory agency that presumably is involved, it seems to me that the idea of locating through two dispensaries within approximately 800 yards of each other, right in the center of pedestrian traffic. And as you've indicated, one of your purposes, one of your proposals in terms of running your business, you're not interested in auto traffic, which is fine. But all of these educational facilities have foot traffic. And they're all centered that you have an excellent location for the kind of business you had. 40 some years ago, there was Fabiola's Boutique located there as a front organization when cannabis was not legal. So that there's a lot of traffic, a lot of opportunities for you to sell, and a large number of the people who will be passing by will indeed be students who are attending these schools. Now, of course, the childcare pupils are not an issue. They won't be passing by. Their parents will be with them. But it is really a center there. And I'm not sure why, of all these dispensaries that are supposed to be licensed, why did Mission Hill get the benefit of having two, both of which are within 1,000 feet of my house, and located right in the middle of these school-age children's pedestrian pathways? It's more a question for the regulatory agency than it is for you. I mean, obviously, you picked the best place to do your business. But I guess this is a comment to the moderator of this meeting rather than, well, it's a comment to you, of course, but there's not much you can do about it, except the fact that I'm sure that the ABC is not more than 400 feet away from your location. And
So,
as I said,
sir, because as you said, you want to make the comment to the actual regulatory agency. I was going to provide this information at the end of the meeting, just because I needed to look it up. So the last, the actual cannabis email, the cannabis board email is cannabisboard@boston.gov, CANNABISBOARD, so cannabis board, one word, @boston.gov. So that's their email address. That is where I would suggest you to be able to just give your comments and be able to, ask those questions of them. I think they'd probably be the best agency for you to be able to do so.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pamela, I've just unmuted you. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to, I'm also a business owner in Mission Hill. I am one of the owners of In the Cut Barbershop right next to the location that we're talking about. And I just wanted to go on the record in support of the business, both personally and professionally. I know both Jody and Richie, and I believe it would be a great addition to the community as a whole. And I just wanted to go on there supporting, and I'm open to any questions or anything like that. And as a partner, I just wanted to show our support for this endeavor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patricia Flaherty. Patricia, I have you unmuted here.
Hi, thank you, and thank you for the presentation. The meeting is actually on Monday with Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services. I'm a resident of Mission Hill, and I'm also the executive director of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services. And I have to say the format of this meeting is a little bit frustrating. I can't wait till we're all back in a room again and can actually see and talk to each other. But I have a couple of things. One is that I think there are just some basic pieces of information, and I just want, like, hours of operation. Are you going to have a security detail? You say you don't want to tell us how deliveries are being made. I understand that. I do a lot of review of zoning, so we just want to know how your deliveries and how are going to impact Tremont Street, which is, as you probably know, a really busy street, and you're right next to Dunkin' Donuts, which already has a lot of double parking, et cetera. And so how are you going to control the sidewalk? We Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services we're the community development corporation in the neighborhood, and we just recently for me, built 40 units of new family housing plus office space and retail space right across from the Roxbury Crossing T station at Parcel 25, and 40 units of affordable, extremely low income senior housing right around the corner. And we just want to make sure that we maintain a livability. We already have a problem with people publicly drinking and drugging near one of our establishments, and also just on the street in front of the T substation. And just want to make sure that we understand that when you say, you know, you're going to patrol the sidewalk in front of your store, what does that mean? And I guess it brings us to the really exciting thoughts about benefits for your employees. And I think going into some really new areas that need to be spoken about. So it's very intriguing. And you know, you also have a job plan that is very intriguing. We learned though, when we were involved with the Raices cannabis establishment on Terrace Street, that none of these commitments or promises get placed into the host agreement. The 3%, by the way, goes to the city of Boston. It doesn't come to the community. So sometimes when we think community, we think it's just Mission Hill. The 3% of gross goes to the city. When we were dealing with Raices, we had to deal with putting all of the promises that had been raised at meetings like this and other community meetings into a good neighbor agreement. And there's lots of cannabis establishments across the city who have done good neighbor agreements with community groups. And so, you know, before we talk about this more on Monday, I'd just like you to think about that as a way to structure and give people a confidence. I mean, I will be honest, the people who are involved with Raices, we have all known for many, many years, and we still said you need to put it in writing. And, you know, we've learned over the years dealing with liquor stores and liquor licenses and retail establishments and other development that you really have to put it in writing and make sure that you have something that we can all refer to. When we say you promised to do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't, you can say, look in the agreement. We never said we were going to do that. So it works both ways. So I think we need to talk about a good neighbor agreement. And then I think there are just other details of what happens if you end up like the Brookline establishment with a line down the sidewalk. What are your hours of operation? How does that impact people walking kids to school, or what happens when all the schools let out at the same time? What happens with the local environment that's already in place that we can work with you on? But I just feel like we don't have a lot of detail yet. And I'll stop.
Thank you so much. You brought up a lot of great points, and I want to start with a few concrete answers that I can give you right here, as well as an offer for future discussion. So the first thing is we're proposing that we would open at 10 o'clock. We would close at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. So Sunday through Thursday, we would close at 8. Friday and Saturday, we close at 9 with an opening time of 10 o'clock. So there wouldn't be any sort of
add into the morning traffic.
Add into the morning traffic like that.
And I mean, there's not people lining up to buy cannabis in the morning, at least I don't think.
Well, even in Brookline. But
yeah.
But one thing, in terms of, I would be very happy within a select group to discuss the exact plan for deliveries. I just don't feel that this is the correct forum. But I do, perhaps, in a face-to-face meeting, I would be very happy to take that up with you so that you do feel comfortable. And to address the point of our good neighbor agreement, I hear you. I understand. There is a template. We had a host community agreement with the city of Boston. I've seen it. It's a template. There's also a lot of restrictions, and you have to understand that the Cannabis Control Commission, the whole industry is working, trying to adjust to what is happening. So there's legal challenges all the time. There are, I know that a lot of the enforced agreements between towns have been deemed illegal. So I guess I understand why the city of Boston is kind of using a template. Now, as far as the good neighbor agreement, I'm all for that. I think, we have nothing to hide.
And this is why we're having these conversations, to kind of like start the dialogue and, get to know. But we also there's a lot of people that promise heavy and promise big, and then they don't deliver. And that's not who we are. That's not who we've been. So we kind of take things as we go along, and we,
And another thing, let's say, for example, that we were to, just pretend that at the same time, at the end of work, there is a line of people that form. It hasn't happened in any of the other dispensaries, but let's pretend it happens for us. At that point, we would work with the community. We don't want that line any more than you do. That serves no purpose. We're going to work with you. And we're going to say, okay, during these hours, it is only pickup, for example. So we are invested in finding solutions. The last thing we need or want is to have the neighborhood antagonistic towards us. So, there are going to be concerns that you think of. There are concerns that neither of us have thought of, that nobody here has thought of, that will develop. And when those concerns happen, we're going to be there and we're going to be talking to you to find solutions.
Tricia?
Whoops. Thank you for your answer, and I'm sure we'll have more dialogue next week. Thank you.
I hope so.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Rose here. Rose, we just unmuted you. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Okay. So what's your question to me?
If that's okay, if there's no rush, I can wait when I get home in like 2 weeks. Is that help you with that?
All right, well, we're going to continue down the line. Samira, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Thanks, John. Hi. Yeah, I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'd just like to speak and indicate that I support Jody and Richie in their proposal. I've only known them for a short period of 4 years. And I've lived in the state of Massachusetts for a little over that. I've been able to accomplish a lot of things thanks to them. So thank you guys. They provided me a place to work at their other business, Mojitos, and they've also provided me a community in Boston since I'm not from here. And I'm also 100% positive that many other locals in Mission Hill will be happy to have that new opportunity as well. But aside from Richie and Jody, as far as the business, someone mentioned earlier, cannabis is here to stay and it's being legalized in more and more places. We can sit here and compare other drugs to this natural one, but that's another conversation. So I just want to say that I support dispensaries for many reasons, but for one main reason, and that's safety. By safety, I mean that you can rest assured that one, it's not being sold to underage, and two, the individuals who are of age and are able to legally purchase and consume, they're not purchasing something that's been altered or laced. So I agree with Jody and Richie on their assurance that it's a safe and responsible alternative.
Thank you, Samira.
Thank you.
Tassil, did you have a question, comment, or concern?
Yes, I just wanted to add to my support of Richie and Jody's proposal. I grew up in the Mission Hill area, spent many years there. Richie was one of my students in high school. He's done a whole lot of positive things in the years, both in business and in industry. I think that this legal business fits very well into the demographic of the Mission Hill area. I grew up in Mission Hill when it was not as nice as it is today. And this type of business actually fits right into what's going on in the city. And it's important that folks like Richie and Jody get the opportunity to grow and help support the neighborhood. And especially in the neighborhood, again, I've grown up in Mission Hill. Mission Hill, we always have an issue with something. When the guys at the south end, Auto Supply, wanted to put a Kentucky Fried Chicken in there, everybody was upset. But now there's a giant building in that space. So, let's not hold up progress and positivity just because we think that we're not getting our way. These folks are going to help, and they're going to also be there to be a positive impact on the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yari, do you have a question, comment, or concern? Yeah, I just unmuted you. Do you have a question, comment, or concern?
No, I do not.
All right. All right, everyone. So with that being completed, we've gone through and everyone's had a chance to speak. I do want to reiterate some part of my opening comments. So again, this is an open comment period, meaning that if you do not get called on tonight, or if you think that you have questions that have not been answered, all you need to do is reach out to this team. So Jody, Rich, if you all want to provide your contact information, please do now. Do you guys want to say it? If it's emails.
Oh,
yeah, we were gonna type.
I was going to type it into the chat, but
No
yes.
problem. Yeah. Awesome.
The best way to reach us is through the email that was provided in the slide. It's mojitosboston, MOJITOSBOSTON @gmail.com.
And then as for, the liaison that's helping to manage this, so Patrick Fandel is the name of the liaison that was on the flyer. He'll be continuing taking care of this project. So Patrick is PATRICK period Fandel, FANDEL @boston.gov, as well as the Cannabis Board's email. I know I'd mentioned it earlier, but I will mention it again. So the Cannabis Board's email is cannabisboard@boston.gov. CANNABISBOARD @boston.gov. So with that being concluded here tonight, we will end this meeting. I hope everyone has a good rest of your night. I hope you enjoy the nice weather. And I will hopefully see you all soon at another meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.